Gone. Joran. Gone. Joran. Get off me, bruh. Hello, Super Sentai fans! It's been a while since I've done a Sentai-focused video, other than the 10 Zenkaiger video I did a little while back, and we haven't really been paying a lot of attention to Zenkaiger, so I figured we'd circle back. We've gone through, like, over 10 episodes since the last time I did a video, so I'm going to bulk a lot of them, if not all of them, into this one. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, my name is Robbie, you're watching Geek Revelation, thanks for joining. But yeah, I think the last episode I did like any type of information on was episode 9, and we're now on episode 20. Now if you are a fan of the Sentai content, don't think I'm ignoring you, it's just that in the beginning it's going to be really, you know, I'm going to do a lot of videos and all the characters that are being introduced because it's our main cast, but then after a while, not a lot of stuff happens and the videos become a little uninteresting, even for me to do them. But I feel like we've gone through a lot of the plot now, so what I'm basically going to do is just talk about the important stuff that we should know, or if you haven't been able to watch the episodes and you want to just stay caught up. So again, this is going to be going through episodes basically 10 through 20. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video so it gets shown to other Super Sentai fans, Tokusatsu fans, in their YouTube feeds. And if you go follow me on TikTok, you'll be entered in my Hasbro Power Morpher giveaway. So quickly, let's just talk about a few foundational things. So a while back, we found out why Zenkaiger is even in the show and why he's after the gears. It's because his two little brothers, the little mecha little robot brothers, Kuttner and Ricky, we find out why they even look like that and why he even calls them brothers. It's because they are actually his biological brothers. They used to be human. And the reason why they look the way they do is because they were messing around or just doing something they shouldn't have done while they were in one of the other worlds called SDTopia, which stands for Super Deformed. Now, this is something that you've probably seen in, you know, Japanese pop culture. It's not really a thing here too much here in America. But Super Deformed basically look like characters that look like them with the big eyes, they're tiny, that's what that means. So Zox, Flint, and the two brothers are looking for the gear that has SDTopia trapped inside of it so that they can help Kuttner and Ricky become humans once again. I mean, that's a decent motivation to drive this family of pirates to be in the show. That makes sense to me. But there are a few things that I do think that they would lose if Ricky and Kuttner were turned back, and that are the power-ups. So we know that Zenkaiger has two specific power-ups. He has the Shinken power-up and he has the Oren power-up. And those are for his individual form. He basically gets different shields and different armor, and it even changes his, you know, his persona while he's fighting. But also the mecha battles. Robot versions of Kuttner and Ricky can create different gigantic mecha with the ship that they're on. So I guess if they were humans, they wouldn't be able to do that. Not to say that this pirate family wouldn't be powerful enough to fight without that, but it kinda is a plus. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end, when we get to SDTopia and they have the chance to turn them back, that they decide to stay the way that they are. I don't know. We'll see. So now let's talk about Stacey, also known as Stacey, also now known as Satoshi. So Stacey's origin story has still yet to be completely uncovered. We know that he works with the Toji Tendo, but we also know that he reluctantly works with the Toji Tendo. We also know that he was created, that he's like part robot. So now what they're starting to dive into, and I knew this was gonna happen, is since he's very reluctant to work with the Toji Tendo, obviously he, just like kind of like Vroom was, he kind of doesn't really know why he's there. And he's starting to have memories, and one of the memories is his mother, who he believes is dead. If you remember, one of my cold opens to one of the previous videos was about his dead mom. Stacey's mom is lying in a ditch. But now he's starting to believe that she's alive. And that is something that he now shares with Kaito, who is his enemy throughout this entire, he thinks is his enemy throughout the entire show. I have a feeling, I mean, it's very clear it's going in this direction. I have a feeling that one, if not two things are going to happen. One, he's going to become good, and he's going to join the Zenkaiger. But I think the second part of that, which may not happen, I'm almost certain that the first one's going to happen. The second one that I think might happen is that I think he's going to die. Basically, I think what's gonna happen is that he's going to become good during a very critical time, and then his role in all of this in the story is going to be, he's going to become a martyr, basically. Very similar, extremely, and the reason why I'm saying this is, it's an educated guess, is because they do this a lot. I mean, if you remember Nada from Real Soldier, it's kind of like the same thing. He was a bad guy, and then he becomes good for, I think, like an episode, and then he dies. Let's not even talk about Go Buster Green. I mean, he was in the show for maybe like half a second, and then he died, literally. But yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen, because even in these episodes, he is becoming friends with Kaito's grandmother. He gave, I don't know if Satoshi's like, did he just make up that name for when he's speaking to the grandmother? I didn't get that. But he's also kind of working with them. So now, before we actually dive into what I think is most important, we'll go over some of the runner-ups and fun things that I liked, or things that made me laugh, or things to point out. One of them, which I should mention right up front because we've seen a lot of pictures of this online, are the power-ups. The 2 Zenkaiju Powerups, which are pretty sick. One of them looks like Dragon Caesar, or for Power Rangers fans, the Dragon Zord, and that is the one that Kaito uses. And the other one, even though the actual gear doesn't look like V-Rex, the other one is V-Rex from Time Ranger, or for Power Rangers fans, that's the, what is that, the Q-Rex? And that is used by Zenkaiger. So, I mean, if you're a Power Rangers fan, you would call these basically battleizers, so basically it's just heavy armor on top of the spandex. And these things are pretty cool, guys. The Dragon Caesar one looks awesome. I love how they have the dragon head. It looks like it's almost like eating Kaito's helmet. That looks really cool. And I love the V-Rex armor. I think that one looks way easier to fight in because Kaito's is very, very super bulky. But that one also comes with the Dragon Caesar, like, tail, like, spear-looking thing, which is a cool weapon to have. Now, to point out some highlights from the episodes that I particularly liked, one in episode 14 was there's a duel between Zenkaiger and Zenkaiger. And it's all part of the plot. They're not really fighting. You think that they're really fighting when you're watching it, but it's a fake out like in so many other Sentai series. But during that fight, they're using their power-ups, and Kaito uses the Battle Fever J one, and it makes it so that he can't stop dancing. So then, to counter that attack, Zenkaiger uses the O-Ranger power-up, and they have a dance-off, and everyone else, like the Zenkaiger team and the Pirate family, are watching. The Goldtweaker family are watching, and they all don't know what's going on. That was a very funny scene. In episode 18, the monster of the week was called Romance World, which is quite possibly my favorite one because it had the funniest power, which, if you get hit by Romance World's beams, or whatever you want to call it, his weapon, whoever you see first or connect with first, you'll fall in love with. So obviously the hilarity ensues. Jiran and Gown end up like kind of falling in love, and there's these funny, like, you know, dramatic scenes. Majin and Flint have a moment, and then they fall in love. I'm gonna need that fanfic, by the way. Now, Vroom's wasn't funny. It was sad. I felt bad for Vroom. Basically, they introduced this young girl that Kaito knows, a human girl, and Vroom and her fall in love because they're like both into reading books after they get hit with the beam, or whatever you want to call it, the Romance World weapon. And in the episode, Vroom doesn't know what love is, so he's like Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump does know what love is, but he wants to be educated in love, and he gets a full education of it, like literally the honeymoon phase, to the feeling like there's a seed of doubt that has been planted, to jealousy, and then to pain. He goes through the whole cycle of a relationship within like 30 seconds on a beach, and it's a really dramatic scene. And then after they defeat Romance World, Vroom is still affected by it because part of it was actually real. And I felt bad for him because I'm like, wow, like that's upsetting. Now, the cool part that Vroom got to do, and this was incredible. This was incredible that they did this. The gear that they used to defeat Romance World was the Jetman gear. Now, if you've seen Jetman, you'll understand this scene. If you've never seen Jetman, you would have been really confused by what happens, and they kind of make a joke about that in the show. But so now at the end of Jetman, the Black Ranger, who is Black Condor, who has been throughout the series the guy who, like, A, he's a hothead, B, he didn't want to be on the team, he kind of reluctantly joined the team, but becomes a very big integral part to the team. He's in love with the Pink Ranger. And in the last episode, he's attending the Pink Ranger and Red Ranger's wedding, and on the way to the wedding, ends up chasing down a criminal and gets stabbed literally to death. He dies, and he literally, in the next scene, is sitting on a bench. The Red Ranger comes out to kind of talk to him, like, you know, thanks for coming to the wedding. And then he dies on that bench. That's why in Zenkaiger, if you've ever watched Zenkaiger, they bring that actor back, but he's dead. So, Guy, who's from Earth, can't see Black Condor. They can't see him, but all of the space pirates can because they're not from Earth. So in this scene, they reenacted the entire sequence of Guy chasing down the criminal and being stabbed to death by having Vroom act as the criminal, chase down Romance World, and defeat him. They did it shot for shot, which was incredible. These are the reasons why Sentai is cool. You know, these things that they do they're just awesome things that they do. I'm gonna be honest, I've warmed up a little bit to Zenkaiger, but I still think the dancing is dumb, which is funny because in episode 20, there's a Kamen Rider Saber crossover, and the Kamen Riders don't understand why Zenkaiger dances, and they're basically like, why does he dance? Or they ask something like that. And when that happened, I was like, this is exactly how I feel. I don't understand why he does this. Okay, so finally, guys, the thing that I think is most important, that is a plot driver throughout all of this, which are Kaito's parents. A while back, if you watched my first videos on Zenkaiger, I had a theory that, and this might not be right, that the two generals, Ijirude and I'll just call him Tankhead, I call it Johnny Five and Tankhead, are Kaito's parents. Now that might not be right, that still might not be right. But there have been a few different things throughout the series that kind of make it like that theory is right. And what I'm referring to is Kaito's parents made the Sentai gears, and Ijirude, who's basically a gigantic, you know, microscope, they made the Torja gears. So I feel like they were like taken, stolen, and built into those generals. I don't know that. I could be wrong. What we learn in Series A is that Stacey has seen Kaito's parents before, and he knows this because he's been hanging out with Yatsuda, the grandmother, Kaito's grandmother, and he sees a picture of Kaito, Yatsuda, and the two parents, and he recognizes them. Goes back to the Tojitendo lair, or ship, or whatever they're in. Goes through their, you know, like, computer system, and then realizes, yes, I've seen these two people before. And then I don't know how he does this. Oh, yes. He uses Kaito's, like, you know, his roll call to basically wake them up, and that is what signals Sechan all the way on Earth to go down into the secret lair that's, like, you know, under the bed, and wake up the Zenkaiju so that Kaito and Zenkaiger can use them as power-ups. They're either imprisoned, they're either digitized, or they became the generals. What do you think? Where do you think Kaito's parents are? We're getting closer, we're definitely getting closer, but we still don't know yet. And God, this is quite honestly the reason why I haven't done a video in a while. The whole show is gonna be about Kaito getting his parents back. We all know this. When that'll happen, I don't know. But to me, that's like the most important driver, to the plot at least. So yeah, I know that was a ton of information, but that's basically episodes 10 through 20 in a nutshell. Now, since I skipped over a lot of stuff, go ahead and put all the things that you liked within the past 10 episodes in the comments, things that you think are highlights, or fights that you liked, or power-ups that you liked, some of the Sentai gears that you liked, some maybe funny scenes that I didn't mention in this. How do you feel about Zenkaiger now? Have you warmed up to him, or did you always like him? Are you also waiting on the Flinta Majin fanfic? And what do you think happened to Kaito's parents? Leave it down in the comments. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep up with the Tokusatsu, Power Rangers, Super Sentai news and information. You could also follow me on social media, most active on Instagram, and again, make sure to go follow me on TikTok. I've been spending a lot of time on that. And that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video, and may the power protect you.